Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen of my Alpha family. You crushed their controller. Now they're completely out of the game. This is the moment where you stand at the top of the hill, looking down at a field of broken dreams, shattered ambitions, and the remnants of those who dared to challenge you. You're not just ahead, you've crushed them, and they'll never catch up. But let me ask you this, how does it feel? Does it feel as powerful as you thought it would? Do you feel the weight of their defeat pressing down on your chest as they slowly fade away into the shadows of your victory? Or do you feel something else, something darker, something colder? You've broken them, sure, but there's a silence that comes with that kind of power, isn't there? You've taken away their hope, their will to fight, their sense of purpose. Now ask yourself this, are you truly prepared for what comes next? You've destroyed their confidence, you've ripped away their safety nets, you've crushed their controller, and now they're gone from the game. But do you understand what that means? You're not just winning, you're pushing everyone else out. You're making them irrelevant. They can't touch you. And soon, the very idea of competition will seem laughable. But let's be honest with ourselves. There's no real competition anymore. Not where you stand. You're above them. And you've done this before. You've risen above the rest, time and time again, only to find yourself standing alone in the midst of all the destruction you've left behind. The last one left standing. But what does it mean to be the last one standing? What does it mean when there's no one left to challenge you? It's easy to get comfortable when you're sitting at the top, isn't it? You think you've won. You think you've conquered. But deep down, you know something's missing. Something's not quite right. Because without a fight, what are you really left with? Without anyone pushing you to your limits, what does it really mean to win? You've broken their spirits, shattered their will, and taken their controller. But did you ever stop to consider what happens when the game becomes a one-player show? You crushed them, yes, but now you've got to deal with what that means, with what you're left with in the aftermath of that destruction. Because here's the thing, when you're the last one standing, you're no longer playing the game, you're rewriting the rules. And that, my friends, is where the true test begins. You thought that the moment of victory would bring you peace. You thought that the silence of those you've crushed would be sweet. But in truth, it's anything but. You've got to ask yourself, is it the silence that you wanted, or was it the fight? The world doesn't stop just because you've taken out the competition. It doesn't stop just because you've crushed the controller of those who stood in your way. The world keeps spinning. The game keeps going. And soon, you'll find yourself in a place you didn't expect. Alone. Not in the sense of being abandoned, but in the sense of no longer having anyone to challenge you, no one to test you. And that is where the true struggle lies. Because here's the harsh truth. When there's no one left to fight, when there's no one left to challenge you, the fight becomes internal. The battle is no longer against the world, it's against yourself. You've shattered the others, but now you've got to shatter your own limitations. You've got to break your own mold. You've got to push yourself harder, faster, and farther than you ever thought possible. Because if you don't, you'll become what they were. You'll become the defeated. Think about that for a second. You've crushed their spirits, broken their will, and now you stand alone. But if you rest on your laurels, if you let the silence around you lull you into complacency, you're no better than the ones who failed. You've won the battle, yes, but the war is never over. The moment you stop fighting, the moment you stop pushing, the moment you let up, that's when you begin to lose. So what do you do now? What happens when there's no one left to crush, no one left to break? You crush yourself. You push yourself beyond the limits that others set. You break the controller that you've been holding so tightly. You find new ways to challenge yourself. You seek out new heights, new places, new challenges that no one else would dare to face. And you do it because you know that the true test is never in the victory. It's in the pursuit of something bigger, something beyond yourself. It's not about proving that you can beat them. It's about proving that you can beat yourself. It's about pushing past the person you were yesterday, the person you were a moment ago, and striving for something greater. It's about understanding that there is no finish line. There is no point where you can stop and say, I've made it. Because when you've crushed them, when you've broken their control and taken them out of the game, it's not the end. It's just the beginning of a new battle. The battle to keep going, to keep moving forward, to never look back. And this is where most people fail. They think they've won, they think they've reached the top. But in truth, they've just reached a plateau. A plateau where there's no growth, no challenge, no future. But not you, not us. We're different. We understand that victory is not the end. It's just the fuel for the next fight. The real game starts when there's no one left to fight. It starts when you realize that the only person you need to compete with is yourself. The only person who can defeat you is you. And when you truly understand that, when you realize that the game doesn't end just because you've crushed your competition, then you will know what it means to truly rise above. So keep going. Don't stop here. Don't think for 1 second that you've made it. There's always more to do, always more to prove, always more to conquer. And as long as you stay hungry, as long as you stay relentless, you'll always be the one crushing their controllers, always be the one who stays out of reach. And when they look up from the ashes of their defeat, they'll see you standing at the top, and they'll know no one will ever catch you. Not now, not ever. Because you're not just playing the game anymore. You are the game. So remember this, my alpha family, the controller is in your hands. It always has been. And now, it's time to take the game to a new level. As we stand here, at the top of the mountain we've built, I want you to take a second to realize something monumental. It's not just about winning the game. It's not just about getting to the top or crushing those who dare to challenge you. It's about what you do once you're there, once you've stepped out of the shadows, once the noise fades and the applause dies down. What happens next? You see, the game, the so-called game of life, isn't just about who crosses the finish line first or who can outlast the competition. It's about the new challenges you create for yourself once all the old ones are gone. The true warriors, the true alphas, they don't just stay at the top and gloat about their victories. No, they see the peak as nothing more than the starting point. They look out over the horizon, and instead of resting, they see new challenges, new mountains to climb, new territories to conquer. They take that hunger, that drive, and turn it inward. They push beyond what they've already achieved. They push themselves further, harder, deeper. And I need you to understand that right now, you're at a point where most people would stop. Most people would pat themselves on the back, kick their feet up, and let the success they've had so far define them. But you're not most people, are you? Number. You're different. You're the one who broke the controller, the one who stood on the battlefield with the broken pieces of your enemies at your feet. You've got a fire inside you that burns hotter than the sun, and it's never going to go out. So let me tell you something that I hope sticks with you forever. It's not about just defeating them, it's about outgrowing them. You've crushed their controller, sure, but don't get too caught up in the feeling of power that comes from knowing you've won. That's a trap that a lot of people fall into. They think that because they've destroyed someone, because they've come out on top, that they've reached the peak. But they've only reached the first step. Because the true victory is in moving forward. The true victory is in the relentless pursuit of greater challenges, higher heights, and more intense struggles. You don't rest on your laurels. You rise again, stronger, faster, smarter than you ever were before. And let me tell you, this next step, it's the hardest. It's the one that separates the winners from the legends. It's the one that separates those who are satisfied with victory from those who want to change the world. Because once you've crushed their control, once they're completely out of the game, you've got to be prepared to fight a new battle, the battle against complacency. Complacency is the greatest enemy of any alpha. It's the silent killer, the one that creeps in when you've had a taste of success. It comes in the form of comfort, of ease, of thinking you've done enough. But trust me, it's a lie. The moment you get comfortable is the moment you begin to lose. Because in the game of life, in the pursuit of greatness, there's no finish line. There's no moment where you can say, I've done it all. There's always more. More to conquer, more to achieve, more to become. You've crushed their controller, yes, but now you've got to crush your own limits. You've already defeated the ones who stood in your way. You've already taken them out of the game, but now you've got to beat the version of yourself that's too scared to take the next step. You've got to crush the version of yourself that wants to take the easy road, that wants to coast on the success you've already earned. You've got to leave that part of yourself in the past, buried under the weight of the controller you've shattered. And here's the truth that no one likes to talk about. The ones you've defeated, they were only a small part of the equation. They were only a test. The real challenge comes now. The real battle isn't against them, it's against yourself. It's about mastering your mind, mastering your body, mastering your spirit. It's about constantly evolving, constantly pushing the limits of what you're capable of. And let me tell you, that's where the real power lies. When you're at the top, when you've crushed the competition, when you've taken everyone else out of the game, you're faced with a choice. You can choose to rest, to let the victory define you, to let the silence of your competition's defeat lull you into comfort. Or you can choose to take it a step further. You can choose to redefine what success means. You can choose to break the chains that bind you to the past and forge a new path, one that is even more powerful than the one you've already walked. You see, the strongest don't stop when they've conquered the world. They keep going. They seek out new challenges, new opportunities, new ways to prove to themselves that they're capable of more. They never get comfortable. They never settle. They understand that the moment they do, the moment they start believing they've made it, is the moment they begin to lose everything. And this is where you are right now. You've already taken out the competition. You've already crushed their controller. You've already won. But now it's time to make the next move. It's time to set new goals, set new standards, raise the bar to heights you never thought possible. It's time to make sure that your victory isn't just a single moment in time, but a constant, ever-evolving journey towards greatness. You're standing at a crossroads, and the path you take now is critical. You can take the easy road. You can coast on the victories you've already earned. Or you can choose to push even harder. You can choose to elevate your game, to go even further than you ever thought possible. The choice is yours. But I'll tell you this, if you want to be a true alpha, if you want to leave a legacy, if you want to be remembered as someone who changed the game forever, then you need to keep pushing. You can't let your victories define you. You need to keep defining your victories. You need to stay hungry. Keep searching for new ways to push yourself beyond what you thought was possible. And that hunger, it will keep you going. That drive, that relentless pursuit of excellence will make sure you never stop climbing. It will make sure that you never stop evolving, never stop fighting, never stop rising. Because here's what happens when you stop. When you stop, the world keeps moving forward without you. When you stop, You become a relic of your past victories, nothing more than a footnote in someone else's story. But when you keep moving, when you keep fighting, when you keep rising to new challenges, you become something immortal. You become the standard, the one everyone else looks up to, the one who changes the game. So don't stop. Not now. Not ever. You crushed their controller. Now, go crush the next challenge. Go set the bar higher. Go become the greatest version of yourself, because that's the game. That's what it's all about. And remember, no one can stop you now. You've already crushed the controller. They're out of the game. Now, it's your turn to show the world what true greatness looks like. You've already crushed the controller, and you stand at the top of the hill, overlooking the broken pieces of those who once dared to challenge you. It feels good, doesn't it? The thrill of victory, the silence of your competition, defeat. But let me tell you something crucial, something that separates those who achieve greatness from those who fade into mediocrity. Greatness is not a destination, it's a journey. And this journey, this endless pursuit, is where the real work begins. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, I've already reached the top. I've already crushed them. What more is there? That's the trap. That's where most people fall short. When you've won, when you've shattered the dreams of those who stood in your way, it's easy to believe that there's nowhere left to go. But that's the lie. The truth is, the journey doesn't stop when you're on top. It's only just begun. Why? Because greatness, true greatness, isn't defined by the victories you rack up. It's defined by how you evolve after the battle. It's defined by how you push yourself when the world has nothing left to offer you. Greatness isn't about getting to the top. It's about who you become once you've gotten there. You see, the one thing most people miss when they crush their enemies is the most important thing: self-mastery. They win, they stand tall in the silence of their victory, but they forget the most important piece of all, the battle against themselves. They forget that in order to continue to rise, they must first master their own mind. They must master their own doubts, fears, and complacency. They must crush their own hesitation. Because here's the thing, when you've already crushed the competition, there's no one left to fight but you. You're your own biggest challenge. You are the one who can either elevate yourself or drag yourself into oblivion. There are no more excuses, no more external factors that will hold you back. Now, it's all on you. When you've reached the summit, when you're the last one standing, the hardest part isn't the victory. It's staying there. It's keeping your edge sharp. It's making sure you don't lose the fire that drove you to this point in the first place. You've crushed them, yes. But now you must face the battle that truly matters. The battle for your own potential. The battle to make sure you don't fall into the trap of complacency, that you don't get comfortable with the view from the top. Because that's where everything begins to slip. The moment you think you've mastered it all is the moment you begin to lose everything. Now, I know you've heard this before, but let me say it in a way that cuts deeper. Your competition was never your real enemy. They were just a distraction. They were the warm-up before the real fight. The real fight is within you. It's about pushing past the version of yourself that's comfortable with victory, that's content with where you are. The battle is to stay hungry, to keep moving forward, even when the world seems to have nothing left to offer you. That's what separates the legends from the forgotten. The legends don't settle. The legends don't bask in the glow of past victories. The legends understand that the only thing that matters is the next step, the next challenge, the next level of growth. And let me tell you, you can't grow if you're resting on your laurels. You can't evolve if you're content with what you've already done. Greatness is not about holding on to the past. It's about creating the future, And the future? The future is wide open. There is no limit to what you can achieve now that you've crushed your competition. They're out of the game, and it's your time. You've proven to yourself that you can conquer. You've proven to the world that you can rise above the rest. But now, it's time to prove something even more important, that you're not done. That the peak you've reached is just the beginning. Greatness, real greatness, is about vision. It's about seeing the possibilities that no one else can see. When everyone else is content to sit back and watch their victory fade, you're already plotting the next mountain to climb, the next battle to face, the next frontier to conquer. You're not satisfied with where you are, and you're not satisfied with what you've achieved, because for you, the only thing that matters is what comes next. And let me be clear, this is not about being restless or driven by an unrelenting need for success. This is about being purposeful. It's about finding meaning in every step you take, in every challenge you embrace. It's about aligning yourself with your higher purpose. When you've reached the top, when you've crushed the controller, you don't keep pushing just for the sake of pushing. You push because you have a vision. You push because you know there's more to achieve. It's about knowing that the world is yours to shape, and the power is in your hands, no one else's. The moment you realize that, truly realize it, is when you begin to create, you begin to build, you begin to leave a mark on the world that no one can erase. And that's the kind of greatness that lasts. That's the kind of greatness that gets remembered. When you're the last one standing, when there's no one else left to challenge you, that's when the true work begins. Now, it's all about building something that's bigger than just you. Now, it's about creating something that will echo through the ages. And trust me, it's a far greater challenge than anything you've done up to this point. And that challenge? It's the one where you don't just create for yourself, you create for everyone who's watching. You create for the generations that will follow in your footsteps. You don't just lead for today, you lead for the future. And when you realize that, when you understand that you have the power to shape not just your own destiny, but the destiny of everyone around you, that's when you truly become an unstoppable force. So, what are you going to do next? How will you answer the call? Because the truth is, now that you've crushed them, now that they're out of the game, there's no excuse left. There's no one else to blame. There's no one else to fight. There's only you. You and your purpose. You and your vision. You've already shown that you have the strength to overcome. But do you have the strength to stay on top? Do you have the strength to keep climbing? Do you have the strength to become something greater than you ever thought possible? Because the only thing standing between you and your next level is your own commitment to keep pushing forward, your own willingness to take the next step when everyone else is content to stay where they are. And here's the truth. The next step won't be easy. It will challenge you in ways you can't even imagine right now. But that's what makes it worth it. That's what makes it exciting. Because greatness is not about walking down a smooth paved path. It's about overcoming the obstacles that no one else dares to face. It's about the struggle, the grind, and the satisfaction that comes from knowing that every step you take is a step towards something greater. So don't stop, not now, not ever. You've crushed their control. Now, become the legend. And let me remind you, legends don't just conquer the world. Legends change it. They leave a legacy that can't be erased. They rise above again and again. And they do it because they know that the game is never over. As long as you're breathing, as long as your heart beats, there's always a next level to reach. And the question you have to ask yourself is simple. Are you going to keep climbing? Or are you going to let the silence of your past victories drown out the call for more? The choice is yours. But I can tell you this. If you choose to keep moving, to keep striving, to keep crushing, there's nothing in this world that can stop you. So let's rise together, my Alpha family. Let's crush every obstacle that stands in our way. Let's leave a legacy that echoes through time. Let's not just play the game, let's change it forever. In the end, greatness isn't a destination, it's a relentless pursuit. You've crushed their controller, you've shattered the barriers that once stood in your way. Now, it's time to rise above, to push even further, and to redefine what's possible. The game isn't over, it's just beginning. The world is yours to conquer, and with every step, every challenge you face, you'll prove that nothing can stop you. So keep pushing, keep evolving, and never stop climbing. The legacy you're building is unstoppable.